As you're organizing your assets in Premiere Pro, moving clips around is a must. But there's different ways to get the job done, so let's talk about that. As you can see, I'm again in an empty project, so we can have a blank canvas for this organizational demo. So let's get some assets. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room, so I'll press tilde to maximize my project panel, and then I'm going to go to the media browser, and I'm going to just climb in and get some individual assets again, okay? So I know that we could bring in our folder, and it would create a bin inside of Premiere, but let's do that ourselves so I can show you a few things. So I'm just going to grab the individual assets and then right-click, import, and we'll do the same thing with another group of assets, like my interviews, okay? We'll grab all of those and bring those in as well. Okay, so I now have a collection of stuff, and let's just sort based on labels so that we can get all of our interviews together and all of our images together. Okay, so let's create several bins here. I'm going to press Command B or Control B on a PC, and I'm going to just make an assets bin, and this is where I want everything to go, okay? So I'm going to just select everything and bring it into assets, and let's also create an interviews bin and an images bin. Okay, now before I start moving things around, let's talk about the options. We already know that I can simply drag and drop from one location to another. So I could take my assets and grab my interviews and then drag them down to my interviews bin, all right? And now they're in the interviews bin, but they have left the assets bin, and that's not what I want. So let me undo that, Command Z or Control Z. There are many workflows where it's useful to have your assets together and then copy things out of that bin into content-specific bins. So let's talk about the various ways to do that. You can select your clips and then right-click and choose Duplicate, all right? And now it's created a duplicate for each of these clips, and it has appended copy 01 to that. So now I can take these duplicates and move them into my interviews bin, and you can see that I have my original clips, and then I have my duplicates. Let me just delete these and show you the other way. And the other way is to simply copy and paste. So I'm going to select these and then press Command C or Control C on a PC, and then come to my interviews bin and Command V or Control V. All right, you can see that this is not appended with copy 01. So unless you want a labeled indication that you have duplicated a clip, copying and pasting clips is usually a good solution. So let's also do that for my images. I'm going to just select them, Command C and Command V. Now, for both copies and duplicates, these are standalone clips. However, they reference the same media file. Let me show you this. I'm going to take this interview clip here, and then let's take a look at where it lives on my system. So I'm going to right-click and choose Reveal in Finder. Okay, so here it is inside of the appropriate folder structure within my exercise files folder. And then if I find the copy of this, which is up here, and do the same thing, I'll reveal in Finder, you can see that it's pointing to the same exact clip. But these are separate instances inside of Premiere. So if I loaded this into my source monitor and marked an in and an out here, and then I go back to the copy and load that, you can see that I don't have an in and out point. So these are separate instances. Later in the course, when we talk about adding effects to master clips, you can make copies of clips and do different things to each copy. So you can leave one alone, and you can apply a stylized color correction effect to another, for instance. So keep that in mind. When you copy, you do have these separate instances. That also applies to things like deleting. So I could come and delete my clip from my interviews bin, and you can see that it still exists here in my assets bin. Now let's talk about duplicating when it comes to sequences. I'm just going to make a quick sequence here, and we'll just grab a few images and also a few interview clips. And I'm not even going to mark in and out points, so we'll just bring them all in. This is just kind of a metaphor. Just imagine this is a beautifully complex, long sequence that I've worked on forever. And I just need to name this. If you need to find your sequence real quick and you can't locate it, in your project panel, one quick tip is to just come to this context menu and choose Reveal Sequence in Project, and it'll show where it is. And I'm just going to call this Bakery Rough Cut 927. Okay, so I've appended the date, and let's actually just create a bin for my sequences. Command B _ sequences, and we'll move it in there. Again, that's because when I sort, my sequences bin goes to the top. So let's say that I've been editing all afternoon, and I want to duplicate the sequence so that tomorrow when I'm working, I can continue on with my edit. But if things don't go as planned, I can always go back to today's cut and start fresh. So I'm just going to click on it and then right-click and choose Duplicate. And we'll just call this one 928. All right, and I'm going to load the duplicate. And I know we haven't really talked about editing it all, but I'm just going to make some changes real quick so that you can see that it is different from the previous version. All right, so we'll just perform a few trims and extract a few sections here, remove some clips, okay? But you can see that all of my changes are only on this sequence. Everything from my 927 sequence is left unchanged. And that can be very handy. You know, say we made some mistakes here or we didn't like what we did. We can always go back and edit fresh with a previous copy. So I do recommend duplicating your sequences often, certainly at the end of your editing session, but also just after every editing milestone. Now, finally, I just want to talk about deleting. When you delete clips from Premiere Pro, you're not deleting the actual media files, you're deleting the clips inside of the project. And to get them back, you'd have to re-import them. That said, deleting is as easy as selecting one or more clips and pressing delete. But I want to show you something. I'm going to just come to my images bin, and let's just grab an image that I know is not in any sequence. If I select this and press delete, it's gone. There's no warning at all. However, if I choose to delete something that is in a sequence, and I believe these first few are, I'll just select this and then press delete. And here it gives me the warning. The selection you're deleting contains clip references in one or more sequences. So if I delete this, it's not only going to be deleted from my project panel, but also from my sequence. So when I say yes, you'll see the clip deletes from the sequence as well. Okay, so that's a little on moving, copying, and deleting assets in Premiere. All tasks you'll do often, so it's good to know exactly what's happening when you perform them.